Hello and welcome guys to another video where we talk about carbon credits, carbon credit investing, how to make money in carbon. If you like content like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. As you've seen recently, I've put together videos to help you and me understand the carbon markets better. Today we're going to talk about carbon standards. What are carbon standards? This mostly applies to the voluntary carbon markets, although some carbon credits can be used in the compliance markets, but most of the time this will apply to voluntary carbon markets. So what are carbon standards? In the carbon markets, the terms like protocols, programs, standards, and registries are often very loosely defined. Some offset programs call themselves standards, and others call themselves registries. So basically these so-called standards and or registries are certifications. So carbon standards are certifications. So in this case, the main classification would be certification. These certification programs use different methodologies and protocols. That is what they use for accounting, for the numbers, how they classify the projects. They use also standards, which are mostly like ISOs for the tracking and registration. And these carbon offset projects and the corresponding credits are displayed in a registry, which is basically the database. Why would you certify your carbon credits? Because then you can have proof by a third party that your carbon credits are legit, that they use the highest quality carbon, much like an organic label or something like that. So when we talk about carbon certification, there are basically two very big carbon certification programs, but here I've listed 5. The biggest one being Verified Carbon Standards by VERRA, also called VCS. VERRA is the biggest, most known name of the carbon standards. Then we have Gold Standard. This was created by the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund. These two operate internationally. Then we have some that operate mostly or entirely in the United States. The biggest one is the Climate Action Reserve. That is a very known one to operate in the United States, and the American Carbon Registry. And you can see here, some call themselves Reserve, Registry, Standard. The names are all over the place, but these are carbon certification programs. And then there are also companies like VIVO operating out of Scotland. These are the bigger ones. There are many smaller ones. Some certify renewable energies, some certify REDD plus projects. So depending on which type of offset you want to create, you can use a different certification standard. But as you can see here in 2020, VCS made up about 2/3 of all certifications, with Gold Standard and Climate Action Reserve making up another almost quarter, and the rest are the smaller ones. And if we look at 2021, the percentage of VCS standard is even higher. It's 80% VCS. So again, VERRA and VCS, Verified Carbon Standard, is basically the dominant player in this space. And this might lead to a centralization of the voluntary carbon market, which would be good for interchangeability. If we look at Q1 of 2021, where are these projects located? We can see a lot of them in the US, India, China, and Turkey. So the projects tend to be more in the global south, we could say. I think in the future there will be more and more projects in these areas because the forests are getting cut down more in these areas, and because for example in Europe it's very hard to cut down a forest or something. So since the lodging goes on in the global south, I think the projects will also be there. And there's also always the social component with that. Each certification uses their own methodology, their own protocols, and their own registry. Although they are way too complex to describe in this video, so you can check it out on their websites if you're interested. You can download these protocols, these methodologies. I've read through a lot of them myself. These are very long and very detailed. So if you ever think about making your own carbon project, you'll have enough reading material. It was very hard to find a direct comparison of these standards because, like I said, they're all very complex. I can only show you from a report of German Watch in 2016. They made a comparison of carbon market standards for REDD+ projects. And this is not really a comparison of how the standard works, but more what it focuses on. So just a quick overview. This is just to present that some standards focus on different stuff. So here we can see that the VCS standard focuses a lot on climate integrity, also the American Carbon Registry. But then, according to the author, they don't focus on biodiversity conservation. So it's flipped around. So each standard has different focus points. And when we look at human and community rights, stakeholder participation, so including everybody, then we have the gold standard. GSF Foundation is very high and VCS is not that high. Then on the other hand, the project viability and the comparability is higher in the VCS. So each standard has its different focus when it comes to REDD+, but I think this can be extrapolated to all sections of carbon projects. And also you might notice here there's some other standards like natural forest STD, rainforest STD, social carbon. These are other standards for REDD+ projects, but smaller ones altogether. So as always, I will put the details of the different carbon standards in the description. You can check them out for yourself. What do you think of carbon standards? Do you think it's important to have a lot of small different carbon standards, or do you think it's better to have one big one that controls it all basically, but then you have more interchangeability? And if you feel videos like that are helpful for you to explain the carbon markets, then give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down or say in the comment section what you would find more interesting. I plan to do a video series about carbon market insiders, interviewing people who are inside the carbon markets, who have carbon companies, so we can all understand the carbon markets better when it comes to investing and making money with it. Also, if you're interested, check out the Discord server and or the Facebook group where we grow a nice community of people and we interact together about the topic of carbon credit investing. Links are in the description. So let me know in the comment section what you think about all of this. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.